Am I live? Maybe it says going live. Surely that counts. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Prime Minister's Questions stream. This is a day late. I forgot last night. I am very, very sorry. The Prime Minister's Questions happened on the 2nd of March 2022. And I thought what we'd do today is go through whatever it is they said. And hopefully, if there's any point of contention, correct them. And if there's something I can agree with, we'll agree with it. So I will in advance say hello, Gemma Deering. Sorry that I wasn't here last night when you posted the message. And to anyone else that joins, hello. And to those watching on playback, especially hello. Your support here means the world to us. The theme of the day is Russia. Of course it is. Hello, Mass Creation Broadcasts, or Reason Vision. It is Russia. It's going to be Russia for a while. You can't expect anything else right now. It's impossible to talk about anything else right now. And rightly so, quite frankly, because it's a mess. Hello, Nephilim. So this week has mostly been centered around, global sanctions. The kind that has done a considerable amount of damage, but has led to Putin threatening that he'll get, more and more violent. Which there's nothing wrong with him making these threats, of course not. And we are right to be on alert because of it. But when it's born entirely out of a clear and obvious state of delusion, we have to be worried. People were worried for years that Trump would be the one to cause a world war. They thought he'd be the one to pull the trigger on nuclear war or something. But no, he didn't. Actually, if anything, the person we need to be worried about is not someone that everyone else is saying, it's Putin's lapdog. No, we need to be worried about someone like Putin who is so out of touch. He's using his limitless supplies of people to round up those that disagree with him because they don't agree, even the soldiers don't agree, with his regime. And it is that now a regime as opposed to a government, because he's already committed acts of war and rules that he breached international law and war crime law, in fact. He should be taken and delivered to The Hague. Simple as that. Unfortunately, the fortress he resides within is, almost impregnable at this point, especially if you have a limitless supply of cannon fodder, even if they are children. Yes. Hello, Nonny. Hope you're well. Hello, Jingo J. I think we will dive into this in a moment. I want to give you a few more minutes just for a couple more people maybe to join, and then we will dive straight into this. Hope you're all well, by the way. Hope my due warning, my advanced notice, perhaps alerts you to the nature of what we're going to discuss today. Humanity needed a new superpower lunatic. I know many have said that the only reason this is happening is because Biden is weak. Boris is weak. Macron is weak. Everyone's too left-leaning, soy boy loaded. I don't think it's that. I think it's because the rest of the world is moving forward. And people like Vladimir Putin are in the past. Very much so in the past. Think about the ideas he espouses and the ideas he supports. How out of touch he is with reality compared to everyone else. And you realize that really it's really a case of man in massive fortress thinks he knows best. Simple as that, really. Hello, Lloyd Watson. Hope you're well. It's always a case that he believes in this idea of domination and power and control. But in that power and control, he's leaving his own people behind. It's very much a case of, I'm just doing this for me to get myself more and more and more and more and more. I'm not doing this because I want to make things better for people. Bear in mind here, when Russian military turned up in Ukraine, they thought they'd get, a standing ovation. They didn't think, I'm going to have to hold a grenade in my hand and threaten the people that I'll let go unless they surrender to me. They didn't think, they're going to fight back. To the point when some have been captured, they've cried to their mothers on the phone because this is not what they signed up for. And I feel sorry for those soldiers, by the way. Genuinely sorry for them because they deserve better than that. So before we start, I would like to ask a favour of those watching. Please consider smashing the like. It really helps this channel. That's about it, really. If you're new, sub, of course, I'd appreciate it. It is free after all. And streams like this, I enjoy doing them. I do. I stopped for a while because of coronavirus. Glad to be getting back into this. If I've wasted your time to the tune of 5 minutes, I'm very sorry. But I do like to prattle on a little bit. Putin likes to act tough. He was considered a legitimately tough guy. The guy has a very legitimately tough background as well. But he was a KGB agent. He was a bitch. Simple as that. He uses shady tactics to win. Don't forget what he did to Georgia. Didn't he try and invade them, or he did? He invaded Crimea. He should never have touched that, and yet people let that go. He has claimed land from Ukraine that doesn't belong to him. But he won't be on the front lines because he is actually legitimately a bitch. Don't forget here, when Conor McGregor met him years ago, Conor McGregor was considered one of the biggest threats in mixed martial arts. Now, it was before, obviously, he got humbled by people like Khabib Nurmagomedov? Whatever. Khabib, the Eagle, that was his nickname. Undefeated man, brilliantly talented. Before that, though, he met Putin and put his arm on Putin, and Putin was laughing, looking really small, weak, and feeble. His security straight up said to Conor, "Take your effing arm off him now." While they're laughing, and Conor's like, "I could kill you. I could legit kill you." I don't think he could have in retrospect, but only because we now know he can't handle a chokehold. Anyway, shall we get into this? Let's get into this. I think we should get into it. I don't remember much of watching this yesterday. Hello, Puck Baker. Russia is literally that guy who pisses on your leg and tells you it's raining. I'm so used to you being live only on Twitch. I asked, wait, subbing is free? It is. It is on YouTube at least. There is a membership thing on here, but I don't think it's not as expensive. It's like, I think I might have reduced it. If I didn't, I will reduce it. There are also those islands right next to Japan that Russia has, which also belongs. Yeah, Russia. It's strange, really, for Russia to claim ownership of these islands because they barely exist over there. They really Russia's monstrous. It really is. There's no way Putin has any control over it other than through fear. That's all it is. He has them with fear. It's not democracy. It's a regime, a totalitarian regime. You must believe in the Putin. It's why he did 2 terms, which was constitutionally all he could do, and then he walked away for 4 years to be prime minister while Medvedev was in charge. Although it's just Putin, let's face it. And now he's doing 2 more terms, and his popularity has waned. The only reason he put Navalny in prison and poisoned him is because he knew Navalny was a threat, a legitimate threat. Anyway. Oh, hang on, I haven't put on the right thing. Here we go. Jolly good, everyone. So, I have not seen the beginning of this. I don't know how it starts, but I do remember the questions. Sorry if it's grainy, but apparently we only get 480p. See? 480. Quality, 480. You've got to be kidding me. We're in the 21st century and apparently we're using camera quality akin to Sean Head. And her content's shite.
Before we come to PMQs...
If you can't hear this properly, by the way, do let me know and I'll turn it up.
Members of what I said last week. I want concise, focused questions.
Right, before he continues, the yellow-blue flag on, pin is for the Ukraine. Blue-yellow tie, intentional. I think many politicians are wearing those pins, and many are wearing yellow and blue colours.
We get through the list. I want much less barracking and heckling of members, and that behaviour is discourteous and does nothing to enhance the reputation of our House or its ability to scrutinise the Prime Minister. I expect members to reference each other in a courteous and orderly fashion. Fine.
I mean, I'm hardly going to expect a politician to stand up and go, "Oi, Tusspot!"
Finally, I want to welcome to our gallery the Ukraine ambassador. You're right.
Just a quick thing, you're not allowed to applaud in the Parliament, in the Commons, but on this occasion, I think they're going to make an exception. Well, there's some virtue for you. I will admit, that is quite touching. Oh, very nice. Hey TC, hope you're well. Russia also neglects its land so bad because of Russia's raw size of its people will starve because they only use 7%. That's the thing. They really do, don't they? Oh god, this is cringe. Can they start?
Do not allow
Thank
in this
God.
chamber.
I mean, I'm fully in favour of the round of applause. It's actually very nice, very touching, very sweet. But I'm English. My levels of cringe are really low. Okay? I can't. Okay, I can't. Just someone kill me now, alright? Right. Hang on. My second cousin is crocheting sunflowers and selling them to raise money for Ukraine. That is lovely. That is actually lovely. I had wondered if YouTube had an option for fundraising on YouTube for Ukraine as well, but I wasn't sure if they had that option for people to do. Or if anyone has done it. The ideal person to do it would be Mr. Beast, because he'd genuinely would generate the most money from it. And I think that'd be a great idea to use it, not only to help the refugees and to help those who will end up rebuilding their country.
But on this occasion, the House quite rightly...
Oh, hang on. No, I've got to go back, because that's actually... Yeah, hang on.
But on this occasion...
No, hang on. I'll give him another go. So just sit down, please. Oh, thank God.
Your Excellency,
right.
We generally do not...
Right.
...to low applause in this chamber.
Okay, see, I was right,
but
they don't.
on this occasion, the House quite rightly wants to demonstrate our respect and support for your country and its people in the most difficult of times.
I do think if you're going to make any kind of gesture to support a nation, clapping might... I mean, it's great to do that, of course it is. It shows you we are behind you, but at the same time, that journalist, Ukrainian journalist who heckled, barracked and told off Boris the other day was right. Actions do speak louder here, and taking your time does not do that. Tipster's live stream for Ukraine.
Before
Wait,
we
what?
start, I would like to point out...
Oh no, I'm in bed when he streams. I'm never around for it.
To watch on Parliament Live TV.
I miss his streams. I really do.
Minister. I call Graham Stewart.
It's not intentional, by the way. I love Tipster. I talk to him quite often, but I'm never awake when he does those streams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question 1.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday I was in Warsaw and Tallinn, reaffirming our commitment to NATO.
Warsaw, Poland. Tallinn. Is that Estonia or Latvia? Or is that... No, hang on. Tallinn. Isn't that Finland? It's one of those nations. I can't remember which one.
And our solidarity with Ukraine. Putin has gravely miscalculated. In his abhorrent assault on a sovereign nation, he has underestimated the extraordinary fortitude of the Ukrainian people and the unity and resolve of the free world in standing up to his barbarism. The UN General Assembly will vote later today.
No problem. They vote later today. I'm sure Russia will just veto it.
And we call on every nation to join us in condemning Russia and demanding that Putin turn his tanks around.
Turn his tanks around and he gets delivered to The Hague.
If instead Putin doubles down, then so shall we, further ratcheting up economic pressure and supporting Ukraine with finance, with weapons and with humanitarian assistance. Today, the Disasters and Emergency Committee is launching its Ukraine appeal. And every pound donated by the British people will be matched by the government, starting with £20 million.
Isn't that just taxpayer money anyway?
Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Graham Stewart.
Men, women, children, terrorised, murdered and maimed. Indiscriminate munitions unleashed on civilian populations with a total disregard both for international law and human life.
In that order, of course.
Can my right honourable friend assure the House that we will accelerate the transfer of military supplies to the Ukrainians and maintain this country's proud record of support for refugees fleeing war?
I thank my right honourable friend, and I hope I can say that I speak for the whole
I'll try
House
not to use
when
logic. I'll try.
I spoke to President Volodymyr Zelensky this morning, and I told him, Mr. Speaker, that we would indeed do everything we can to accelerate our transfer of the shipments that he describes, of the weapons that he describes. And the UK, as the House knows, was the first European country to send such.
No one cares about the flex. Just send the shit. It's simple as that. The longer you take to do this kind of stuff, the less it looks impressive. All right, you may be the first. It's not a case of first one in, last one out. It's a case of send it. Just send it.
Offensive weaponry, and we are certainly determined to do everything we can to help Ukrainians fleeing the theatre of conflict.
We now come to the Leader of the Opposition, the Right Honourable Keir Starmer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm very glad the Ambassador is here so he can hear me repeat what I've said to him privately on a number of occasions, and that is that this House and this country stand united in our support for the Ukrainian people in the face of Russian aggression.
I would say that's mostly true. There are still people who are on both sides of left and right here. There are people on both sides who are in favour of Russia for very different reasons, and I find it to be quite amusing. I know that we had, for example, Tulsi Gabbard talking about, oh yeah, but this is all bad. But did you know Zelensky got rid of all these TV channels because they were criticising him? Can you pick your moment to say shit like that? I know it's not the same as the other, far left, far right that were making these stupid arguments about pro-Russia. But could you do me a solid? Pick your moment, choose the right moment, and then consider the optics of it before you open your mouth and say something so stupid. Also, Putin's in the wrong here. Putin is actually in the wrong. I hope Romania pulls a Vlad the Impaler on the Russian top people. I'm waiting for Putin to threaten them as well. Maybe threaten Turkey while they're at it, since some of Turkey's in Europe. You know, why not? I mean, he's already threatened Finland and Sweden, which is amusing. Because last time he went to war with Finland, he lost. Well, Russia did, not him. Was it him? Maybe. No, it was someone else. Yeah, he supports the notion. It's quite interesting. Hello, Leona. Hope you're well.
And we're all appalled by the shocking footage that's emerged over the last few days. We must stand up to Putin and those who prop up his regime. Mr. Speaker, Roman Abramovich is the owner of Chelsea Football Club.
Only just.
And various other high-value assets in the United Kingdom.
Worth in total, nearly $4 billion. Yeah. The man has, that includes the $3 billion for his club and about, at least $500 million on property.
He's a person of interest to the Home Office.
I mean, because he's been hanging out for quite a while, many years, in fact, with Putin. In fact, I used it in today's exhibition of stupid people, a picture of Roman Abramovich sat next to Putin.
Because of his links to the Russian state and his public association with corrupt activity and practices. Last week, the Prime Minister said that Abramovich is facing sanctions. He later corrected the record to say that he isn't. Well, why on earth isn't he?
He should be. He was considered an oligarch, and he is currently in the process of selling off all his properties and everything he has so he doesn't get sanctioned and lose his money via US bankers, because he knows that's the only way he can get rid of things quick enough to not be sanctioned, and he should be. There was an argument made by someone that we should seize all the oligarch-owned properties in the United Kingdom and let them out to refugees. It's an interesting argument, a very compelling one, I might add as well.
Mr. Speaker, it's not appropriate for me to comment on individual cases at this stage, but what I can say, and I stand, Mr. Speaker, by what I've said in the House and what we've put on the record. But be in no doubt that the actions that we've already taken, that this House has already taken, are having an effect in Moscow. And
yeah, you mean like where the ruble has all but tanked? Oil prices have gone up higher, well, as high as that of Venezuela. Get rid of that bloody those is it gas line or oil line, whatever it's called? Get rid of those, and we'll be golden. Cut them off completely.
Exposing the ownership of properties of companies in the way that we are, by sanctioning 275 individuals, already a further 100 last week, the impact is being felt. And what we will publish in addition Mr. Speaker, is a full list of all those associated with the Putin regime. Of course, we have already announced sanctions on Putin
themselves.
I can tell the House that they will have heard what the President of the United States had to say last night. The vice is tightening on the Putin regime, and it will continue to tighten.
Earlier, I saw a thing on Twitter that Macron had a phone call with Putin, and Macron came away worried that Putin, because the impression he got was that Putin's about to escalate this shit to near levels of nuclear World War III. I don't want that. Of course, no one wants that. No one wants a world war, least of all with an army of Russian soldiers who are clearly not ready. I suggest we send a unit of commandos and a longboat of Vikings, some Navy SEALs, and we'll leave them in reserve, and we'll just send the bloody Gurkhas.
Keir Starmer.
I hear what the Prime Minister says and the way in which he puts it, and I hope that may mean we'll see some action in the near future. Last week, Putin summoned to the Kremlin the cronies who prop up his regime. They dipped their hands in the blood of Putin's war. Among them was Igor Shuvalov, Putin's former Deputy Prime Minister. Shuvalov owns 2 flats, not 5 minutes' walk from this house. They're worth over £11 million.
That's about, I don't know, 20 quid for a house around here.
He is on the EU sanctions list, but he's not on the UK sanctions list.
They can go first, Nephilim. They can go first.
Sort this out.
We'll send them to Putin first, the furry femboys. People assumed Kim would be the lunatic to pop some mushrooms, but not Putin on an embarrassing campaign. It's embarrassing because because people thought he would, if he did, he'd just absolutely storm through them, the people of Ukraine. But in fact, he has accomplished nothing. He's taken one city, I believe, and he's trying to get his hands on a nuclear power plant. Hello, Normie. Hope you're well. Taliban, that's not a worse idea, actually. Although they hate the West as well, so chances are they'll support him. Even though ideologically they are, in very, very large areas, quite opposed. Yeah, it's a bit strange, the situation at the moment with that. And I will say, Boris is right. He can't comment on something like that yet. He's right. The thing is, he kind of can, actually, with parliamentary privilege. He can. He's choosing not to exercise it.
Mr. Speaker, I think the House should be proud of what we have done already, and I can tell him that there is more to be done. And thanks to the powers that this House and this government has taken, we can sanction any individual, any company connected with the Putin regime. And this government was amongst the first in Europe to ban Aeroflot. Mr. Speaker, from our skies. This government led the way last week in banning the use of SWIFT, Mr. Speaker.
SWIFT was a strange one because the EU didn't support it at first. They didn't. SWIFT, by the way, is, let's just say, half of Russia's finance economy goes through it. Well, that's fucked them up, hasn't it? Can we give them a bunch of Florida men on meth and Red Bull? Give a bunch of Florida men meth and Red Bull, then drop them off at the Ukraine-Russian border. I'd rather send them to Belarus first. Their dictator's a bit of a twat, isn't he? Bjorn, hi. Send in the Chechnyans. They love Mother Russia. They do, actually. They've been seen quite fond of wanting a war. Saw something about IKEA stopping all sales. They did. There's a thing also, OnlyFans have banned Russian creators. And it's such a strange one. It's not the people that are the problem. And so it's a very strange thing. I can't support it. This ban on the individuals. It's like boxing. They're banning Russian athletes from competing for most of the titles. Football, it's not the players. It's not the players that are the fault. If they support Russia and what they're doing in this context, then there is an issue there that needs to be addressed. But I don't think banning them is how you do it. Putin is the problem. He needs to be removed from the Kremlin and dragged to The Hague. Simple as that. I had heard he'd already, in his rather nasty attacks, he's destroyed a Holocaust memorial in Ukraine, which is a bit of a dick move. Come on. But of course, we're fighting the Nazis. We're fighting the Nazis by blowing up a Holocaust memorial with a president for a country that's also Jewish. I see we're not deluded, right? Fucking moron. Hello, Lord Croco Squirrel. Hope you're well. You're not late in the slightest. You are on time. We have not got to the paper pervert, no.
Our European partners, he would
Smash
understand
like.
the leading role the UK has already played, and
Again, the flexing. We don't care about this.
The impact that those sanctions are already having in Moscow. And as I've told him, the squeeze is growing, and it will continue to grow on the Putin regime.
The fun thing here is that squeeze, even if he takes Ukraine, that squeeze will continue to exist. It's not going to get any easier because no one's going to be like, oh, well, he's won. No, they're going to be like, yo, we're going to fuck you up everywhere. You want to go to war? No, we're not even going to bother with that. If he takes Ukraine, he'll try and take other countries. Simple as that. We've got to stop it. We're going to cripple your economy first. We're going to hurt you where apparently people can. Hi, God. Hope you're well. It's been a while.
Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, I support the measures that have been taken so far. The ownership of Shuvalov's flats is registered under Sova Real Estate, which is actually owned by Shuvalov and his wife. We only know which oligarch lurks beneath that shell company because of the information obtained and disclosed by Alexei Navalny. Navalny, of course, was poisoned by the Russian state, and he now sits in a Putin jail. Transparency is essential to rooting out corruption. It should be built into our law, but it's not. And I'm ashamed that we only know about Shuvalov's Westminster flats because a dissident risked his life. Is the Prime Minister?
So before you answer that question, Bjorn, I agree with that. It is fear. It's fear, control, power. It's power. That's all it is. Putin thinks that's how the world works. He hasn't realised, though, because of how we're moving as nations, it's not really so much about power these days in that context of fear, because it doesn't really work on us. It never has, because we know our governments won't pull certain triggers. He will, though, and that's the problem. He'll poison people. That's what he'll do to control them, and that's always how it's been over there. That needs to end. It needs to come to a head. It needs to stop. There's no way Russia moves forward as long as that kind of crap is still going. Maybe they need to bring back the Tsars. Dude.
Mr. Speaker, I repeat.
And the squeeze would have Garrett. I agree.
Of course,
I agree, Garrett.
Is doing everything that we can to expose ill-gotten
Russian
Russian loot.
Well,
this has been
got a friend
something
visiting.
that
He's
we've been
downstairs
working on
waiting.
for a long time. We actually
were
were the first to impose sanctions on those who who are guilty for the poisoning of Alexei Navalny that he mentions. But what we are bringing forward now is the exposure of the ownership of properties in London and across the whole of the UK in a way that has not been possible before, and that I believe will continue to tighten the noose around Putin's regime. But be in no doubt, it was the UK, Mr. Speaker, that led the way on putting sanctions on the Russian central bank, on putting sanctions on Russian banks altogether.
So before he finishes, Puck, you're right. The only issue is Russia apparently has an unlimited supply of police officers and space to put them somewhere to hold them, because they're arresting everyone. And I want the Russian people to keep doing this. Keep going. Because not only is there pressure on the economy, there'll be pressure on the system that's holding them. And it can't hold them forever. It can't. His system won't be able to afford it. His ruble is in ruin.
And I'm afraid that we're still out in advance of several of our friends and partners. We want them to go further. I believe that they will, and we will continue to put pressure, Mr. Speaker, ineluctable pressure on the Putin regime.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister refers to the long overdue economic crime bill, which, to be clear, we support and will vote through on Monday with speed. The key plan...
Just going to stop there. We're going to vote through a crime bill on Monday with speed. You're in Parliament right now. What business is more important than this? Get it through. If this is what will, if this will help the people of Ukraine, do it now. Monday, they've already lost a city in a day since this came out. How many more cities are they going to lose? They've almost lost Kyiv a couple times already from airstrikes.
Flanked to that bill is a register of who truly owns property in the United Kingdom. But it doesn't come into force for existing owners like Shivalov
Tell me more.
until 18 months after the bill passes. At best, that's autumn 2023.
And Jingo, I did see the restaurant thing.
Far too long for the Ukrainian people.
Agreed. Far too long.
Why are we giving Putin's cronies 18 months to quietly launder their money out of the UK property market and into another safe haven?
Yeah, we shouldn't be. This is why I think the bill needs to. If this bill does what they say it does, and nothing else shady has been attached to it, so it probably has, it needs to come through quicker. Monday is far too late. Get on this, get it done, seize all the assets, absolutely cripple them. Also, seizing those assets does something really handy. I'm not saying we spend it, but we could spend it. And get God the good one a brand new shed. Better than his new shed. It'd be a new shed. So just because, two things cancel, be a shed squared.
Mr. Speaker, the impact of what the UK is doing, and the impact of and I think the whole House should be proud of what we have done, because we have led the way on this. We led the way on SWIFT, we led the way on Aeroflot, we led the way on freezing the assets of banks. And if he asks about the speed of results, Mr. Speaker, I can tell him that on Thursday, the Russian stock market fell by $250 billion worth of assets.
Well, they have trillions, so guess on it.
The ruble fell by about 40%. We're now in the third day, Mr. Speaker, in which the Russian stock market has not been able to open. That is thanks to the package of global sanctions, Western sanctions, that the UK has led in enforcing on the Putin regime. And he should acknowledge that.
He has acknowledged it.
I have acknowledged it, and I do again. What I'm offering is support to speed this up. On Monday, the Prime Minister knows he has the House with him when this economic crime bill goes through. We could do this on Monday at speed, and I think the whole House...
You could do it now if you really wanted. I'm just saying. Bigger, better. I agree.
Would welcome that. So it's
formulating. It's possible. Okay, so formulating probably, yeah. You've got a point there, reason, vision, 100%. But I think, come on. Oh, the ruble's crashed harder than Venezuelan money. Do they even have money over there anymore? Or is it just, shite? Their currency surely teeth at this point.
To work together, Prime
Hell, Afghanistan's currency is kidneys.
Minister. The Business Department published a white paper this week. It rightly sets out that the UK's companies register is being exploited to further the interests of the UK's enemies to help them move stolen money into the West. But the same department, on the very same day, published an economic crime bill which did nothing to address this, leaving Companies House untouched and still exploited.
Chris, but I don't know.
So will the Prime Minister work with us to amend the bill on Monday to include the most basic reforms like identity checks for directors?
That's actually a reasonable request. Like, actually have this current... Oh, wow. I hope it stays there.
As I've said, Mr. Speaker, we are bringing forward at an accelerated pace measures to whip aside the veil of anonymity of those who own assets in this country and those who own property in this country. And furthermore, Mr. Speaker, we are going to be publishing a list of all those, Mr. Speaker, who have assets that are related to the Putin regime. I'm delighted by the support that the Right Honourable Gentleman is offering. If we can work together to make sure that we strengthen and accelerate the package, then all the better.
Good.
Then perhaps take his amendment seriously, because actually it's a good idea.
Garber.
Mr. Speaker.
Just a quick thing, actually, before he asks his question. As far as I was aware before this happened, ruble was quite different, to the US dollar anyway, quite weak. So if it's really bad, great. The more the better. I do feel sorry for people in Russia, of course I do. You're not to blame for this unless you support it.
We will work in that spirit and bring forward amendments on Monday to try and achieve all the ends that I've identified in these questions. And I think this can be voted through on Monday at speed with the full support of the House. And I'm very pleased that we can show that unity with the Ambassador here watching us. In this week of darkness, we have seen glimmers of hope in the resolve of Ukraine, in the unity of our allies, and in the bravery of Russian protesters. They remind us that the Russian people are not our enemy. They are the victims of thieves who've stolen their wealth and stolen their chance of democracy.
Well, that's why they're called oligarchs, aren't they?
For too long, Britain has been a safe haven for stolen money. Putin thinks that we're too corrupted to do the right thing and put an end to it. Does the Prime Minister agree that this House and this country stands united in our support for Ukraine, and now is the time to sanction every oligarch and crack open every shell company so we can prove Putin wrong?
Nothing less corrupt than cracking open every shell company and taking all the goodies from inside it to keep for ourselves. Nope. He's not good at history. Yes, I know, Bjorn. I mentioned it earlier. It was very funny. Very funny. Didn't the Finns just kick dirt at the Russians and win? It's just how pathetic. Ready to do business with China. Russia taking Russian assets in the UK is a nothing burger. I would agree, but there are billions in this country, so it's still something oligarchs lose, which we consider a win because we can then reinvest that money and give it to Ukraine. Hello, Ola. Hope you're well. Potentially to them anyway. The thing though, really, Robert, the thing that really makes this important though is there are other countries who are doing this, are going to be doing this as well. So it does become an issue, and I know China might be doing a deal with them, so it might be Pakistan. That's something that can be explored later. Whether it will work, whether it will save their economy, I'm not sure yet. If they do, it'd be a big kick in the balls to a lot of people, of course, but fundamental disagreements over ideas and progressive nations. Yeah, sure. And I don't mean progressive in the cringy sense. I mean, we go forward.
Yes, anyway. Mr. Speaker, and that's why this government has brought forward the unprecedented measures that we have. And I know that the whole House will agree with
Labour
me.
calling out Marxism.
Nothing we do in rooting out corruption and corrupt money in London or any other capital should for 1 minute, and I want to agree with him very strongly, should for 1 minute distract from where the true blame for this crisis lies.
Oh yes, please smash like.
Solely and exclusively and entirely with Vladimir Putin and
Boris had a haircut.
his regime. And I'm glad that
they did it for the ambassador.
The ventures opposite are resolved as we are, that Putin must fail in his venture.
He has to.
And that
he has to fail. If he doesn't fail, he will do it again. Even if his troops are weak, which they are. Let's face it, they're weak. I mean, he's got a little suicide squad of Chechens, sure, but he has to fail. If he wins, then we've got a problem.
Mr. Speaker, that we protect a sovereign, free and independent Ukraine. And that is what we are going to do. And with the unity of this House, Mr. Speaker, with the continued heroism and resolve of the Ukrainian people, which is so amazing that we've seen over the last few days, and with the unity of the West that we are seeing, which I think has also taken aback President Putin, I've no doubt at all, Mr. Speaker, that he will fail and that we will succeed in protecting Ukraine.
Since this happened, there are two nations. One is Georgia. Is the other one Moldova? I can't remember. There's another country, both of whom are trying to push now for membership to the EU so they can get that protection. They've been kind of a fringe nation, like a consideration, a Boy Scout trying to get the next badge kind of country. And hello, Chaos. So with that, there's more, the EU obviously might take this into consideration. And the same with Ukraine, but obviously it takes years to get membership anyway. Ukraine really wants to join. And while I may not be a fan of the EU, they deserve to reap the benefits of it, because it does benefit countries that are inside it. Especially smaller countries with weaker economies. It helps them. It picks them up. It incentivizes them to work together. We, the UK, don't really benefit in the same way, so it didn't really work for us. Also, we don't like the EU, so shut up. But the these nations really is that Estonia wanted to? I thought it was Moldova. I thought, well, I'll defer to you, Normie. They want to join, and I know Georgia had issues with Russia a few years back, and they deserve that. If they want to join, go ahead. It's not for Putin to decide what other countries do with their country. And the fact he's able to bully so many of them is a damning. It's a sorry state. It's a damning statement for the way this world is still. That there's still one person who still cannot understand. To be fair, he's not the only one. You've got Khan in Pakistan. You've got Xi Jinping or Winnie the motherfucking Pooh in China. You've got Kim Jong-un. You have other dictators in other countries whose names I don't actually know. You really do, but they're much smaller. Putin's the biggest one. If he fails, he's the second biggest. No, he's still the biggest. Yeah, weakest but biggest. If he wins, then the others are incentivized. He has to fail because the others learn from this. If he loses, he's out of office. He has to be.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Can I?
No, I'm going to go to the paper pervert. All right, paper pervert, yeah? Does not need to be wined and dined. Let's go back here a second. Let's go and have a look. We have 36 concurrent viewers and 28 likes. Unless the other 8 of you have disliked the stream, could you please smash the like? The more the better, and it really helps the channel. Thank you. Right. Historically proven an ineffective method, but somehow everyone wants to try. Yeah, I don't agree with that. The slices, they can go get fucked on that. We're not showing Putin so much as an iota of appeasement. They can get fucked.
Investment fund to £48 million. We have a massive opportunity, particularly for UK fruit and vegetables.
Don't care.
We now come to the leader of
Paper
the SNP,
pervert.
Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I join you in welcoming the Ukrainian ambassador to our proceedings? Mr. Speaker, with every passing hour, the world is witnessing the horrors of Putin's war in Ukraine. In Kherson, a family of 5, a mother, her parents, her 6-year-old daughter and her baby son were murdered in cold blood by Russian troops. In the same city, a 12-year-old boy watched his mother die as he desperately attempted to save her from the rubble of her own home. These are war crimes happening in Europe right now.
Nice,
Vladimir
Bjorn. And thank you,
Putin
Noetic.
is a war criminal.
He is.
And one day soon, Putin must face justice in The Hague.
Agreed.
Mr. Speaker, to prosecute Putin and his regime, the full range of war crime charges need to be used, including the crime of aggression by a state. But the UK has always refused to sign up to the prosecution of this crime in international law. Surely with Putin's crime of aggression in plain and horrific sight in Ukraine, now is the time to drop that opposition. Will the Prime Minister meet with me to discuss this? And will he amend the UK War Crimes Act? And will he support the ICC prosecution for Putin for his crimes of aggression against the people of Ukraine?
That's interesting.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm in principle, of course, happy to meet the Royal Gentleman at any stage, but I can tell him that what we have seen already from Vladimir Putin's regime in the use of the munitions.
Don't stop fondling, Ian. Don't stop fondling.
They've been dropping on innocent civilians, Mr. Speaker. In my view, already fully qualifies as a war crime. And I know that the ICC prosecutor is already investigating, and I'm sure the whole House will support that.
Ian Blackford.
I thank the Prime Minister for that answer, and let's work together across this House to make sure that Putin is prosecuted.
I agree. Putin should be prosecuted. He won't be protected when he leaves office. He won't be. Whoever takes over, if they're an opposition party, they will happily give him up. He knows this. It's why Putin's moved some of his family to a nuclear bunker underneath a swimming pool. Not even a joke. He moved them there because he knows damn well what happens if he gets caught. If he's seen outside of the Kremlin and there's not enough on him, troops, people are going to take him. And I don't agree with assassination. I'm not even going to try and justify that. Don't even bother. I want him to face justice. Okay? I want him to either share a cell with El Chapo, bum buddies, or I want him to go to one of the very prisons in his own country that I've seen documentaries on that are brutal. I want him to go to Black Dolphin. Straight up, I'd like him to go there.
That he is held to account.
Or maybe stick him in one of the UK prisons with Charles Bronson. Yeah, that'd be funny.
Mr. Speaker, just as we seek to punish and prosecute Putin for his crimes, we need to help the Ukrainian people right now. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians are fleeing the horrors of this war, and they desperately need refuge and sanctuary. The UN estimates that well over 500,000 Ukrainian refugees need urgent help, most of them women and children. This is a moment
I agree, Jingo,
to
100%.
stand united in the face of Putin's war. The European Union have acted and waived all visa requirements for Ukrainian refugees. The UK government stands alone on our continent in so far refusing to do the same. Nicola Sturgeon, Scotland's First Minister, has made clear our country stands ready to open our borders and our hearts to the people of the Ukraine, but the UK government must bring down the barriers. Will the Prime Minister join with our European partners and waive all visa requirements for the people of Ukraine who are fleeing war?
So that's a good point, Garrett. It is a topic for another day, and I'm certainly more than happy to discuss that one. But with this question, this final one about opening the borders for Ukrainian refugees, in the context of this, I fully support it. I did with Hong Kong. I simply said, bring them all here. Millions, come over. We'll make a new island just for you. You can be autonomous on a condition. We get staff discount.
Mr. Speaker, the EU already, because of its Schengen border-free zone, has its own arrangements with Ukraine. They've differed for a long time from those of the UK. But what we do have is a plan, Mr. Speaker, to be as generous as we possibly can to the people of Ukraine, and the numbers that will come just under our family reunion scheme could be in the hundreds of thousands, to say nothing of the special new path that we're opening up for those coming, the humanitarian path, Mr. Speaker, that is also uncapped. And I think that's the right thing to do. What we won't do, Mr. Speaker, is simply abandon all checks. We don't think that that is sensible.
No, it's not, because then you risk just economic migrants working their way in and taking places from people who legitimately need asylum.
Particularly in view of the security concerns, the concerns, the reasonable security concerns about people coming from that theatre of war.
That is a reasonable answer. I'll give him that. And I look forward to whatever it is they intend to present when it comes to helping refugees and families. That is the end, by the way, of PMQs for today. I know. We've done well. 37 watching, 36 likes. I'll take it. As we're done, though, thank you very much for joining. I am now going to disappear, go look at some magic cards and try and build a deck. Have a sip of whiskey. Yes. If you're on my Discord server, in about an hour and a half, I'll be in VC for some music. If I don't see you there, I will see you here on Sunday for the political recap, not Friday, because I've rearranged it with Trups. And Monday for a research stream. So if I don't see you there, see you on Twitch tomorrow. Ta-ta, everyone. Have a lovely day, evening, morning, night. Bye. That wasn't awkward, was it? No.